Hi everyone and welcome. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sarah Frank. I'm a Scensty Independent Consultant. And a couple months ago, I asked my team, what kinds of training videos do you guys want to see? And one of the first things that came up was, how do I get customers? So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. There's a couple different ways you can go about getting customers. We're going to talk about some of the tried and true methods. And honestly, there's a lot to go through, and I value your time. You don't want to sit here and watch an hour-long video. I don't want to sit here and record an hour-long video. So if you see me looking down, it's because I'm reading off of my notes to make sure that I don't get sidetracked or out of order or anything like that. There's a lot to go through, so let's just go on ahead and get into it. So how do we start building our customer base? Let's start from step one with our warm market. What is a warm market? Warm market, the simple definition, is just people you know. It's a fancy term that means people you know. And there are two different methods to making this list of people that you know. The first one we're going to talk about is the list of 100. I printed this off of the Scensty workstation. You don't have to have the pretty printable, but if you're like me, I like pretty printables. They help me. So this one's on the workstation. I will link it in the description below. And you just go through and you start listing every person you personally know that you think would like fragrance, or that at the very minimum would support you in your business. And so you start here. So that is one method. But honestly, if you're like me, this is a little intimidating, because when I try to make this list, I mean, I can get some names up here, sure. But that 100 number is like really scary to me, even though I probably could get pretty close to that 100, especially after all this time. So if this list intimidates you, there is another method that's the literal same concept, but gives you a more narrow focus. And that is the Frank/Francis method. It's still making a list of people in your warm market, but Frank/Francis, it's two completely different acronyms that help you kind of narrow down who you want to be putting on this list. So what do those acronyms mean? Well, Frank, I'm reading off my list. Frank stands for friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, and kids. And then Francis is very similar. Francis can actually have two different meanings for the S, depending on, how you want to go about using this list. So Francis stands for friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, child connections, e-connections, so people you've met online, spouse connections, or scent lovers. Depends on which acronym you want to use there for your letter S. So basically all that is, it's still making a list, and you want to put as many names on this list as possible, but it kind of helps you figure out, okay, friends, who are my friends that I know? Relatives, what relatives do I know that I think would support me? Acquaintances, neighbors, so on and so forth. It just kind of helps you narrow your focus when you're making this list of your warm market contacts. So we've got our list made using either the list of 100 or the Frank/Francis method. What do we do with this list? So once we get our list made, we're going to start contacting people. And this is honestly the scariest part of the whole process. At least for me. I am not the kind of person that likes to call people or text people or talk to people, which is really hilarious, honestly, considering this line of work. But we're going to start contacting these people. And what we're contacting on a twofold focus. The first focus, the primary focus, you're going to ask these people to book a party for you. I'm going to go ahead and warn you. Most of them are going to say no. And you need to be prepared for that. Most of them are going to tell you no. Some are going to tell you yes. But most will not. Most will not. And that's why it's important to have as many names on that list as possible, why it's important to get as close to that 100 number as you possibly can. If you go over that 100 number, even better. Because every person you contact, the majority of them are just going to say no. Bottom line. So let's talk about what happens if they do say no. First of all, don't take it personal. I'm terrible about this, but don't take it personal. Think of it like asking for a glass of sweet tea or a waiter asking you if you want dessert. You've eaten this huge meal, you probably don't want dessert. You're too full. Does the waiter take that personally? Is it attack on that waiter as a person? No, you just don't want cake. Which is crazy, but if you're too stuffed to eat cake, why would you want cake? The waiter's not going to hate you for not wanting cake. So you've got to kind of put it in that frame of mind. And no, it's not easy. It's not easy. Because honestly, most of us, we're pretty passionate about this job. Like, we love what we do. So it's kind of hard not to take it personal, but we can't do that. Because it's not them saying no to us. It's them saying no, they don't want to party. And it's okay. So when they do say no, how do we respond to that? First of all, thank them for getting back to you, especially if they get back to you really quickly. Like, I always thank people for getting back to me quickly, because then I'm not sitting there stewing over whether or not they're going to say yes. If they do respond and they don't ghost you, because sometimes you'll even get ghosted. They just won't respond at all. So if they do ghost you, I would follow up in a couple days maybe. But if they don't ghost you, if they actually respond and they give you a straight up no, then say, thank you so much for getting back to me. Do you know anyone that would be interested in these fragrance products? You're not going to ask them if they're interested, they know somebody that might be interested in hosting a party. People are really funny about parties these days for some reason. I don't entirely understand it myself, but they just are. So you're not going to ask them, hey, do you know anybody that might want to host a party? No, you're going to ask them, that's no problem. Do you know anyone who would be interested in these fragrance products? I'd love to share it with them. Or share, if you are able to send samples, I would love to be able to share a sample with them. And sometimes they'll give you someone else's information. Sometimes they won't. Either way, it's okay. The point is to build that connection and build that relationship. And that's what you do with the no's. Now, what do you do if they say yes? Well, first of all, put them on your calendar. If they're going to host a party for you, put them on your calendar. Know in advance the dates you are available, so that when they say, yes, I would love to host a party, say, cool, I have these days open. Which one works best for you? And honestly, I wouldn't give them more than 3 because that's a little overwhelming to people. So just ask. And if those 3 days don't work, see if you can book them further out. And you book the party. So that's what you do with your list of 100. You're trying to find your hosts. You're trying to find your customers. Now, we're not going to use this list of 100 for recruiting yet. Now, if you're building connections with these people, both as hosts and as customers, then you're going to be talking to them. You're going to be building relationships with them. And eventually, the topic of joining is going to come up. If they host with you, join information should be right at the beginning of your host coaching. It should be in your host coaching, and it should come up multiple times throughout your host coaching. Because you want them to entertain this idea. It might not be for them. Be prepared for that. Not every host you talk to about joining is going to join, but you want to let them know that that opportunity is available to them, especially during any kind of month where we have a join special. And with hosts, they have the host exclusive starter kit. It's literally a join special. Every party you open has a join special. So you should be talking to your hosts about joining. With your customers, the topic's going to come up. You're going to figure out who your best customers are. You're going to find out who your scent customers are. As you build those relationships, you're going to see, they really love fragrance. They're spending a lot of money on fragrance. They could probably make money just off of their own purchases, not even counting their friends' purchases. And so you're going to reach out to them. But we're not going to look for contacts right off this list for recruiting. That will come later, and we will talk about that more in another video later. So now that we've got our potential hosts, our potential customers, then what? What's next? Next, we're going to try to book parties off of parties. What do you mean? So let's say your friend, Mary Sue, we're just going to make up a name. I don't know why Mary Sue came to mind. Don't ask. But Mary Sue books a party. Well, Mary Sue has a bunch of friends that come to her party. You want to get these friends information, even if they don't purchase. Because even though they might not be able to purchase from her party, they might be able to purchase later down the road. The way I like to do this, I like to do giveaways. I love giveaways. And you don't have to give away anything expensive. Y'all excuse me. Allergies are terrible. Okay, so excuse the awkward cut frame. I just edited all of that out. Y'all didn't need to see any of that. So anyway, what were we talking about? Mary Sue has booked a party. And she's invited all her friends to this party. We want to get these friends information. So the best way of doing this, I like to do a giveaway slip for every party. And y'all, the giveaway doesn't have to be anything expensive. If you are on a budget, it could be a bag of samples. If you have a little extra, you could do something like a mini warmer. Or one of my favorite things to do is an extra half-priced item if it's the first party that I've booked. Usually I use the half-priced item to incentivize the host. But you can do what you need to in your business, because that first initial party, that extra half price perpetual party reward is kind of just floating there. Now with subsequent parties, what I would recommend is something different that, again, we'll talk about in another video. But there are lots of different things you can do for the giveaway that you're doing. But you want to get their information. You want to get their name. You want to get their email or their phone number. Those are the primary three. If you can get their mailing address, fantastic. Because why? Thank you cards. Thank you cards, thank you cards, thank you cards. Postcards are cheap to send, y'all. Although postage, yes, is going up and it's a pain. But postcards are fairly cheap to send. So you can send a couple thank you cards that say just thank you for coming, or thank you for joining us, or thank you for filling out the giveaway, etc. You want to make connections with these people, because even if they don't buy from the party, they might buy from you later. I've had that happen. I had a lady couldn't buy from my friend's party that she hosted for me, but she ended up buying after she got paid weeks after the party closed. You never know who's going to buy from you and when. So you want to try to make connections with people at the party. Then if people buy from the party, you already have their information. At least you should. If you're taking down orders in person, then you need to make sure everything on that order form is filled out. If they place an order through their party link on the website, then they already have their information put in. Boom. There you go. You have their information. So you're going to use that information and you're going to contact them. If they're on Facebook, you can contact them through Facebook. But honestly, text is best, in my opinion. Texting and calling is the best way to communicate with people these days. So you can take that information and reach out to them. Say, hey, thank you so much for ordering. I'd love to help you get some more free stuff. Would you be interested in booking a scent event party? A lot of people are real funny about the word party, but there are lots of other terms that you can use there. But you want to just ask them. And there are other ways during parties that you can encourage booking. First of all, in your host coaching, incentivize your host. Give them a reason to try to get their friends to book. I like to do this with the perpetual party reward. I'll say, hey, if you get 3 friends to book a party, you can have an extra half-priced item. And if they get 3 friends to book a party, guess what? I give them that perpetual party reward. Boom, there you go. And I do other things for subsequent hosts. I give them a reason to get their guests to book parties, especially if there's a guest that wants to order something but can't. It's a great way to incentivize parties and party bookings and things like that. Another way you can incentivize guests to book parties, party booking games. You can do these in person. I love doing in-person party booking games. They are so fun. One of my favorites is the balloon pop game. You write a prize. It could be anything, a scent circle, samples, a pet, whatever. You can write it on a little piece of paper, stick it inside a balloon, blow up the balloon, and if they decide to book a party, they get to pop the balloon and pull their little prize out, and that's what they get if they book a successful party. I do ensure that they have to book a qualifying party. Now that I do. And I do that for hosts that, let me try that again. I do that for people for Facebook parties too. Now, stuff like this online you have to be careful about because they are considered personal specials. You cannot post them publicly, but you can offer them privately. Like, you can post a game that's like, pick a number and I'll send you a special message. And they pick a number, you send them the special message with whatever prize you have attached to that number and say, if you book a $200 party with me, then you get this prize. Give them a reason to book. Make it exciting. Make it fun. That's what they're looking for. They want to have fun. I'm a little scatterbrained right now, so I'm going to shift my focus back to my notes. But on that giveaway form, you want to make sure that there are two things you list. And one of them is being, how interested are you in hosting a party? The other being, how interested are you in joining Scensty? I would use much better verbiage than that. But that's essentially the idea of what you want to ask. If you need help with verbiage, just ask. I will happily send you some. But like I said, a lot to go through, not a lot of time. So we're going to do some kind of giveaway first of all, because we're going to gauge where they are in terms of what they want. Then, so let's say, here's an example. Mary Sue books a party. Well, Betty books a party off of Mary Sue. And then Trina comes to Betty's party. I'm trying to remember all these names. Trina comes to Betty's party and books a party off of Betty's party. And not only are you getting new hosts through this process, you're also meeting new customers, because anyone who buys from these parties automatically becomes your customer. So we've gone through and we've made our list of 100. We found hosts, we found customers. We've gone through booking parties off of parties. We've met new hosts, we've met new customers. Now what? Now comes the most crucial part of your business, and that is follow-up. You want to be following up with every person who buys from you and who hosts with you. And we can talk about the specifics of follow-up in another video, but here's the basics of it. I had to check my notes to make sure I was on task, so I apologize for the awkward pause. But the reason we follow up is to encourage repeat customers. Because here's the truth. Like, you can make all the customers you want. Technically, I have a lot of customers. Not even a quarter of them purchase regularly. Do you know why? Because in the early years of my business, I did not properly follow up with people. I did not properly make connections with people. Most people who buy from Scensty, this was done in a study a few years ago, most people who buy from Scensty only purchase once. And a lot of that is attributed to the fact that people aren't following up. If you follow up, it encourages repeat business. And I can tell you from personal experience, it is a lot easier to keep a faithful, loyal, repeat customer than it is to go and find a new one. It is so much easier to keep repeat customers than it is to go find new ones. Because those repeat customers, they know you, they like you, they trust you. They're going to buy from you. New customers, they don't have a clue who you are most of the time. They don't know what you have to offer. So they're not necessarily going to come back right away. But if you properly follow up with them, if you properly show you care, if you properly show good customer service, then they're going to come back. A lot of times they'll come back. Not everyone will. It happens. But a lot of them will. So these people that you meet through these parties, they're going to get added to your list. And you're going to slowly grow your market from there. And your warm market is going to extend out. So that's the basics of how to find customers. So what are some other ways that we can find customers? The first one, asking for referrals. Simply enough. Ask the people you know, hey, do you know anyone who might who likes fragrance? Ask for referrals. A lot of consultants, they have referrals programs. I'm honestly looking at implementing one myself. I just haven't figured out the kinks yet. But ask people you know who they know. And you don't know what you'll come up with, but you might come up with something. What else? I lost my spot in my notes again. Another one, just consistent branding. Wear Scensy. Wear Scensy, carry a Scensy bag. I'm not saying you have to be Scensy all the time. But when you wear Scensy out, or if you've got Scensy on your car, someone's going to notice. You have no idea how many times that I've just been walking in Target and someone has come up to me, are you a Scensy consultant? Yes. Yes, I am. Here is my business card. Here is the catalog. Do they always get back to me? Again, no. Honestly, we'll talk about this in another video about how to keep in touch with contacts that you come across while you're out and about in public. Because if you're branding yourself, it's likely to happen. But I need to make sure I make a list of all these other videos that I'm going to make. But I mean, it happens. If you're branding yourself, people are likely to notice and people are likely to ask. So brand yourself. You don't have to be Scensy all the time. But you do need to put your business out there. If you don't put your business out there, how is anybody going to know about it? And it leads me on to my third thing. So this last one is not for everybody. But events are kind of my jam. I love doing events, especially in the fall, winter season. This puts me in a group of people that I've never met before. I don't have contacts with these people. I know nothing about them. And honestly, this is how I met the majority of my customers in the beginning, because my warm market at the time, one, was super small. Two, I had just moved here. I didn't know anybody. So it was really kind of hard to build my business because I didn't know anyone. So I used events to build my network. And when you go to events, again, drawing slips. Never go to an event without a drawing slip, because how in the world are you supposed to get these people's information if you don't have a drawing slip? And mention to everyone that comes in your booth, hey, I'm doing a drawing. Now, I don't set up a drawing box when I do events in booths. I have them hand the drawing slip directly to me. One, because this gives an extra point of contact to build a relationship. Two, because oftentimes, if they purchase from me as well, I will write on the back what they purchased so I can follow up with them and make sure that they like it. So that, if something were to have happened between them getting something from me and them getting home, then I can fix it for them. It's providing extra customer service. It's building that extra layer of relationship with them. So that's how I do drawing slips at events. And honestly, I do mine by the month. I don't do per event. I tell them straight up, it is a monthly drawing. And two, if you don't have stock for events, I'll make an event video too. I'm going to make a lot of videos, but right now we're kind of at the beginning stages of building this channel. So there's a lot that's missing that I cannot wait to share with y'all. But you don't have to have stock to do events. You just need to make meaningful connections. Events are not for making money. Events are making events are for making connections. So events is another great way to go out and find potential hosts and potential customers. There was a lot. My camera's about to like go out on me, so I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. So like the point is to really always be adding to your list in some way or another, where it's booking parties off of parties, adding through events, etc., etc. You always want to be adding to your list. You always want to be branding yourself. And honestly, the bottom line is just make your list, find your people, and then once that's done, provide consistent customer care. And that's all I've got for you guys. I'm sorry the end of this video was so awkward. I am starting to space. I think it's about time for an afternoon cup of coffee. So thanks for those of you who stuck with me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.